What is up, Nerf Nation? I'm Naptown Nerf, and this is going to be a review on the Serenity cage by Open Flywheel Project, sold by Monkee Mods. This cage is a 42.5mm crush cage, so that's a mid-crush cage. And I currently have Hooligan Riot wheels in here, and then the new Make Test Battle Neo Hellcats. So that's a pretty juicy setup, you would think. I'm expecting to get close to that 150 FPS range. I have shot this a little bit and started to build up some foam there. So these wheels do build up some foam. They have a lot of convexity, these wheels do, and that should allow us to get pretty darn good performance along with having that crush. So before I go any further, let me tell you some of the issues I've had with this cage just from the get-go. So my cage looked pretty good. I didn't have a lot of burrs or things like that on my cage, but a friend of mine who bought two of these had issues with that on his. So the casting or CNC process that this went through probably could have been done a little bit better with a little bit more consistency. Now hopefully they work that out, but mine seemed to be pretty good. I did just sand down the rim here so I didn't get any sort of issue when the dart was coming out there, but very minimal there, not too much there. But the main issue I had, and this has been a consistent issue with all cages that I've seen of this variety, is the motor screw ports are too narrow. So I had to go in and drill those out with, I believe we used a 1/8 drill bit and went in there and drilled out those holes. Not very difficult to do, but it should be unnecessary, obviously, because that should be done correctly from the get-go. So that was an issue. Hopefully, if they see this video or if they know about this issue, they are fixing that, and that will no longer be an issue, as this was the first run of this cage. So that was a bit of a problem. And the other problem I had on mine is I had to go in and grind out where the holes were milled on the back here. I had to grind that out because it was actually pushing into the wheel well of the flywheel cage and rubbing against my wheels. So I could tell that when I installed one wheel and I spun it by hand that it wasn't spinning freely, and this is something that I do with almost every cage just to make sure there's no issues before I run power through it, because you don't want to damage your motors or your wheels because you have some silly issue like that. So I just went in, I grinded out all those, so that seemed to help that, and then everything seems to be running smoothly now. So let's go ahead and throw this in the strife and put it over the chronograph. Alright, you guys, so we're going to be doing the chronograph reading indoors with the Serenity cage and the Neo Hellcats, because it is literally negative something outside. It's stupid cold, which is not good for me, not good for a firing test or a chronograph test, and definitely not good for the LiPo. So we will be doing this indoors, and I'm hoping to get good readings. I cannot guarantee these to be super accurate, but I think we can get decent readings, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. So here we go. I'm going to start out with accufakes, which is what I think is most practical for this build. That or possibly waffles, although I don't have any brand new waffles available, so I'm going to be shooting accufakes. I would guess they would get very similar FPS, so we're going to start out with those, and then I will shoot a few elite darts along with some koosh darts. So here we go. 144, and that is it. We did lose a few heads, but that is the best dart you can get in terms of accuracy. The Kush and Elite darts will probably get higher FPS numbers, but they will not have the accuracy. So we'll go ahead and shoot some Elites. I think I have 6 Elites in there, and then the rest will be Kush. So here we go. 142, 144, 145, 138, 135. That's it. That was a Kush dart. 133, 146, 160, 16. Nope, that was an error. 157, 147. I don't even know what happened to that. 133, 158. So as you can see, we're getting really good performance right under that 150 range, which is exactly where I wanted to be with this cage, especially with accufakes, which is what we normally use at our wars, accufakes and waffle darts. That's definitely the majority of darts that we use, and you're getting between that 140 and 150 FPS there, which is perfect. So pretty darn good setup. I'm very happy with the performance of this cage. I think it's a good cage. I think they overlooked a few things when creating it, but all in all, I think for $30, I think it's a pretty darn good cage, and as long as you're able to do the few minor modifications to it just to clean it up a little bit and drill those screw ports, I think it's a worthy purchase. The Neo Hellcats are great motors. I'm pretty happy with those, although I'm not 100% sold on if they're worth $14 a piece. I think we could get pretty darn good performance with maybe just slightly less torque, probably really close FPS numbers with like the Kronos X motor, which is $7 a piece instead of 14, and then other motors like the Fangs as well. So I'm not 100% sold on the price point of those motors being worth it, but I do think they're very good motors, and if you're willing to shell out the extra bucks for them, I would say go for it. So that's been my review of the Serenity cage. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little different. Sorry that I'm not in the video, but for this kind of a setup, I felt like this worked out the best, and with my conditions outside, that's just not going to happen anytime soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. Smash that like button, please subscribe, and as always, peace out.